Here's big bad Bobby Kotick. This motherfucker is on a path to make $200 million bonus this year. Whatever, that's fine. That's fine. The problem is CTW is a corporate watchdog that watches over all these companies to check if they're overpaying their CEOs, if there's any shenanigans going on. And in this case, an investor, somebody who makes money off Activision, steps up and says, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right to us. First off, Bobby K, you have made a lot of money. You've hit a lot of milestones, but they weren't because you're a great CEO. They're because all video game companies have done great in the pandemic. Well, okay, that's true, but I don't imagine there might have been, but they didn't mention that there was sort of a, what do they call it when something happens? It's like it's not like called because of God, but it's like a God clause. Act of God. There you go, caveman. So I don't know. Maybe this has that and the pandemic falls under that. But assuming it doesn't, and you'd think they would have mentioned it, this shareholder value creative incentive provision has been triggered, and he will now make $200 million just in a bonus if this goes through. Look, Bobby Kotick's a great CEO. He's a piece of shit human being from what I can tell. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But he is a great CEO. You know, whatever you think of Activision, and I don't think a lot of Activision, he has definitely been a successful guy running the company. Good for him. And if the money that you have made and the contracts you have signed have allowed you to become insanely, disgustingly wealthy, that's okay. I don't like it in terms of because you're a piece of shit, but that's okay. Here's the problem I have. His company didn't pay any taxes, we know, in 2018, not a goddamn dime. His company charged Americans for their tax break in 2018, which got into the multi-millions of dollars. I'm not saying he's guilty of any Epstein shenanigans. His name was in the Epstein Black Book, whatever. You don't accuse somebody of something they didn't do, but his name was in there, that we know. The guy kowtows to China all the time. Most recent was when they took out some footage from the Call of Duty International trailer of the Beijing or the Tiananmen Square. And China's like, we don't want that. It's like, fuck you, motherfucker. You know how many Muslims have vanished in your concentration camps, motherfucker? Who gives a fuck what you want? Sit down and shut up, bitch. That's what he should say. And then they laid off a bunch of people over and over and over. Well, just yesterday or the day before, they laid off 180 people. 50 of them were from the esports group, which is like, well, yeah, esports is bad right now because of the pandemic. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Layoffs happen in companies, okay? But this is a company that's making record profits, and this is a motherfucker who has all the money in the world, and he's now going to take home, most likely, unless something comes in to stop it, a $200 million bonus. And these motherfuckers got sent home with severance of their insurance will be paid until the end of the year or something, and a $200 BattleNet gift card. And I'm like, somebody in the chat's asking me, they're saying, Jaffe, would you turn down the $200 million? I would not turn down the $200 million, but you know what I would do? I would say, you know what? How much is enough? You know, as they say in Wall Street, how many fucking boats can you water ski behind? So if I'm Bobby Kotick or if I'm me, I would basically say, yeah, I'm going to take the $200 million, and then I'm going to take $40 million of it, and I'm going to pay it out in bonuses. Pay these motherfuckers a year in salary, especially, if not the least of which, especially the ones that were the 50 that got laid off because of the pandemic. Esports is cratering because of the pandemic. Pay the motherfuckers their salary until December. Why would you not do it? I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm always fascinated when I hear about a person like this because I want to understand what makes somebody like this. Not somebody who wants to be wealthy. I think everybody would like to have a lot of money. Everybody would like the freedom that comes with cash. Everybody would like to know that them and their families are secure and they can have some nice things that they care about. But there's a point. I mean, let's just look up. I mean, this is, you know, you look up my net worth, it ain't accurate. So this probably isn't accurate either, but let's look it up. Bobby Kotick net worth. Let's see what it comes. My guess is what? 280 million? Okay, he's worth $600 million. Let's just say that's wrong. Let's say it's a third. He's worth $200 million. Let's get rid of the taxes and say he pays half in taxes. Now he's worth $100 million after he pays taxes, assuming this is totally wrong by 2/3 off, okay? What kind of human being is worth $100 million and doesn't say, I'm safe now? I'm safe. My family's safe. I'm okay. I know to be that wealthy and to feel that secure, I had to sort of be a dick. But I'm good now. Let me pay it back. Let me help these people who were laid off, no fault of their own. Let me take that $200 million bonus and let me take $50 million to give to my family and invest for my family and for the future generations. And let me take the other half, or $150 million, and let me donate some of that shit to charity. Now, is he required to? Of course he's not required to. I would never want to live in a country where he's forced to do that. But the fact that he would only do it if he was legally forced to makes you question either what is wrong with this guy. It's all kinds of fascinating questions to me. Is the only way you can become this guy? Like, do you have to have it in your DNA to be so morally bankrupt? That's the only way you can ascend to this position of power to begin with? Is it that being in this position of power, no matter who you are, will ultimately 98% of the people will be corrupted by it? I read a report earlier today that said they did an interview with like 200 millionaires that were worth over $25 million. And they says to those people, do you have enough? And they said no. And the interviewer, or the this was the person doing the study, says, how much more money do you need that you feel it's enough? And they all pretty much, not unanimously, they had like a multiple choice. And like 90% of them said, we need 25% more. Think about that. So they're worth $25 million and they need about $8 million more, $8.25 million more in order to feel safe and secure. There's a point where your brain is just fucking broken. Vile says some people think there's never enough. I think right? Because I don't really believe in pure evil. You can't tell me this guy's walking around twirling an invisible mustache and going, ha ha ha, fuck everybody else. I'm Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. That doesn't really exist. Ghost says some people endlessly chase money because they have this perpetual need to be validated. Right. That's what this other study I read said. Kotick might be one of them. It might not just be about him. Yeah. So this article said that I read, I Googled, of course, like what drives people who are greedy? It says greed comes from, we have a deep unmet emotional need, and we try to meet those needs by seeking objects that can ultimately not achieve the need or fulfill the need, but sometimes those objects provide us with a psychological substitute. They can provide us with a temporary sense of joy or happiness, but they can never give us what we truly need. They're not the real deal. They're not what we're actually looking for. I don't know why it's so hard for people like Bobby Kotick to ultimately come to that conclusion. The only other thing would be that he's worth a lot of money, but 98% of it he gives to fucking charity. And he's like, look, I'm not going to tell you about that because I don't want to brag about and I don't want to bring attention to myself. Who the fuck knows? Jay says this kind of stuff always goes back to classic mommy and daddy issues. It very well might. I believe there are many out there that worship money or other items, says Kratos. Well, that's fucking clear. But what they really worship is happiness or a freedom from the fear they feel about the chaos of life. But they think money's going to give them that. Bacon Magma, you're an idiot. He says, Jaffe, you'll be happy if America had a wealth cap. That sounds terrible. No, I wouldn't be happy if America had a wealth cap. I support their ability to make as much goddamn money as they want. And I would never, like I said, Bacon, if you were fucking listening and not masturbating to a picture of the fucking mascot from the goddamn Atlanta Falcons. I don't know what their mascot is. Is it a falcon, I assume? I assume you would have heard me say I would not want to live in a country where the government can step in and say, you've made too much, you have to give your money away. But I would like to live in a country where it is maybe the norm for everyone to go to therapy a couple of times a year just to sort of recalibrate, because everybody needs a bit of a checkup from time to time. I'd like to live in a country where we don't celebrate motherfuckers like this. That it's like, yeah, you're the best. Good for you for being all powerful. That would be the country I would like to live in. He's allowed to make all the money he wants. I think that's great. But it would be nice if our country also didn't turn out such shit people who make so much goddamn money. What I don't like is, why is he so goddamn evil? Why is he so goddamn, he's not evil. I don't believe in evil. You know what I'm saying? The business world has a million ways to measure someone's performance, says Wide Under. Almost none to measure someone's trustworthiness. So we end up promoting toxic high earners. I think that's a great point. And perhaps it's also a great point regarding politicians as well. I don't know. Eddie says, what if he needs all that money to donate to the poor? Great. I mean, again, I am judging him. I don't think he has a responsibility to donate his money to the poor. But he should, and he probably does give some to charity. But $200 goddamn million bonus when he just laid off 180 people, 50 of which weren't even their goddamn fault. Legally speaking, the remaining 130, it's not their goddamn fault. Because if you call it a layoff, you're not supposed to legally be getting rid of people that you would usually fire. There's a reason. There's a reduction in workforce. Well, whose fault is that? That's the CEO's. He did give him a BattleNet gift card. That's true. So, you know, if you want to go on to play the new Hearthstone video game there and, you know, have a shit time with all the balance that they fucked up after Activision came in and tuned the goddamn game, why the fuck not? Jay the Destroyer said, I heard he donated $200 in BattleNet gift cards to St. Jude's. That's the Kid Cancer Hospital, so you know. It's charity. Jaffe, would you give fellatio for $50 million? Gosh, that's a lot of goddamn money. Fuck it, I'm in.